Well, good morning, Pensacola. You got Vernon again on Pensacola Wants to Know. Folks, we got another exciting show that I think Pensacola ought to know about. We got a young lady here, and in such a role model, I think our young people ought to hear from and to model after. I got Mrs. Brandy McGraw. Brandy, welcome to Pensacola Wants to Know.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for such a kind and warm welcome.
Oh, no problem at all. Brandy, we are going to be talking to Brandy about her career and her background. And she's been in Pensacola. She just informed me here almost 2 years. And tell them where you work at, Brandy.
So, I work at GE Vernova, the largest manufacturer of wind turbines in globally in GE Vernova, and the largest installer of wind turbine in the U.S.
All righty then. Sometimes back when they passed that big ugly bill, some people called the big beautiful bill, we were a little bit concerned about our industry in Pensacola because we've been proud of GE. GE been in this community for a long time, and hopefully we don't feel the impact of that because we know how certain people feel about windmills. Okay,
Yeah, we were concerned as well.
yeah.
I will tell you, it has had a little bit of an impact on us, but we are still producing wind turbines today, and we believe that our future and our outlook is really good.
Well, speaking of that, Brandy, because you people all over the world use windmills. We aren't the only country that use windmills. So I'm assuming that you guys got a market other than the United States of America. Am I correct?
You're correct for the greater GE Vernova.
Mm-hmm.
The Pensacola site, though, primarily supports North America. So we don't do a whole lot of work outside of the US, but we have some sister facilities outside the US that support the wind turbine demands for other countries.
Okay. All righty. Let's talk about you for a minute, okay? And I understand you are in a very important position out there. But let's talk about you're a young, energetic woman. You got to look like you got a bright future ahead of you. And I don't know how what the actual chain of command is, but I'm pretty sure you rank real high there at GE there. What Give us a little bit of your background, if you will, okay?
Sure. So I actually have a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. So I'm originally from North Carolina. So I
Okay.
got my bachelor's from North Carolina State and then moved on to get a master's in industrial and systems engineering from North Carolina A&T. So a little bit of Aggie pride for any of those folks in the area.
Okay.
And then upon graduation, I actually started working immediately for GE. Had the opportunity to live probably in about 8 different states, uh, everywhere from Maine to North Carolina, Houston, or Texas, Oklahoma. I've been in Florida a few times,
Hmm.
and I actually made my way back to GE in May of 2024 with this opportunity. And so at the Pensacola site, my responsibility is the full management of the site.
Hmm.
So I have responsibility for the day-to-day production, the output, the strategic planning of the site, and all of the site operations.
Wow, that's a humongous responsibility uh, for a young lady that you. How did this? How long you been working with GE altogether? First of all.
I mean, this came very, very naturally. So I've been in supply chain and the energy industry for almost 25 years now.
Hmm.
So in my plants, in my roles in plants, I've had roles of increasing responsibility. And actually, before I took on this challenge of the Pensacola site, I was with an oil and gas company in Houston, where I had global supply chain responsibilities, meaning manufacturing, sourcing, quality, all of those things that you would associate with making a good product.
Oh, okay. Now, you saying you've been with GE for 25 years. Wow. You look mighty young. You look mighty young.
Well, you know what they say. So, okay, I have a very beautiful mom and very handsome dad.
So you get what you we as we say in the country, Brandy, you got them good genes, huh? Good genes. All righty. Well, what you say you majored in chemical engineering? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: what prompted that degree? I don't think we see a lot of black people in that field, and particularly black women. Okay. What kind of led you in that direction?
I think there's always room for representation, but we do have a few Black female chemical engineers in the Pensacola area.
Really?
But I was led in that direction because I attended a summer program and had the opportunity to go to the North Carolina A&T engineering labs. And one of the disciplines we talked about was chemical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I was really good at science. I was very good at math. And at the time, chemical engineers were maybe some of the highest paid engineers. And so I knew I also liked money. So it made perfect sense to me.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. Make perfect sense to you to collect that money. What was your first job?
So my first job ever was at a movie theater when I was maybe 15 or 16. Now, once I graduated, my first job was with GE on their operations management leadership training program, which was
Hmm.
a 2-year training program for people that they saw that had potential to be leaders within the supply chain.
Right. Okay. And so that excited you, huh? You wanted to get into this field. Now, have you always worked in? And I know GE kind of got a vast kind of thing there, but windmills specifically, okay, is that kind of a one of the subsection of GE's products? And if it is, uh, let me make sure that my mic is on. Yeah, my mic is on because I couldn't hear
Yep,
myself. But if it is, what led you into that arena towards
sure.
windmills?
Yeah. So, and today, I think traditionally, you think about the windmill, it's like the Dutch windmill, or it's a
Mm-hmm.
windmill on a
Yeah.
farm to help with farm work. So that has progressed. And as that's progressed, the rotation is really caused by something that is much more of an engine or like something that we would have like in an aircraft. And
Mm-hmm.
consequently,
Mm-hmm.
the terminology has changed a bit. So instead of windmills, we refer to these as wind turbines now, because
Like
it's
like
really,
like what we shared. You see the one on the screen. Is that what
yep,
you got working like that?
it's
Wind
similar
turbine
to
to
that.
that. Okay.
So that would be a component that goes into the wind turbine. But I've my entire career has been in or adjacent to energy. So what attracted me to the wind turbine side was not necessarily the technology, but it was the value that I knew that I could provide as a leader. So I'd established a career of delivering. Delivering on what the company needed, being able to execute on challenges and tasks and projects, being able to build collaborative teams, and being able to create stability. So, what attracted me to specifically the wind turbine business is it is a fairly new business within energies. And
Okay.
it is a business that still, at the time, could. there was still opportunity to create structure and opportunity to build high performing teams.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. I tell you, when you look at these windmills, like you say, there's a big difference between a windmill. My dad's windmill when we were growing up, you go to these huge windmills, um, turbines. I guess they call it. Is that a good term to use? A turbine?
Yeah, we call
Yeah.
them wind turbines.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
turbine, but
Yeah.
it's a much more powerful piece of equipment than one of those traditional windmills. Yeah, and this is a great picture of the wind turbine. So on the far right side, that
Mm-hmm.
white enclosure you see is what we call the
Mm-hmm.
nacelle. And
Is
within the
what you call it again?
a nacelle,
The cell. Okay. Go ahead.
and then within the nacelle, you've got like your drivetrain,
Mm-hmm.
which is the area of the wind turbine that's capturing that kinetic energy that
Mm-hmm.
comes from the wind winding the blades. So it's helping to transform that kinetic energy into electricity.
now, now let's dispel some crazy myths that have been spreading by those folks president about windmills is a bird graveyard. What is he talking about?
I think anytime that you have to coexist with nature, there's always going to be um, a, a, a little bit of a challenge. So, very much like when we use the interstate and you
Mm-hmm.
see like a deer that's been hit by a car on the road,
Right.
that risk exists everywhere. And I would say that that same concept applies to wind turbines. So if you are in a shared space, um, sometimes there are going to be instances where things don't end up exactly how you'd like it. But I will say that with wind turbines, they have the same risk as a skyrise has.
Mm-hmm. And that is
So that is that you have birds that can fly into a skyrise. The same thing could happen with a wind turbine.
right. Exactly right. Okay. But that is just not common, but it's just things that just happens. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, I would
Uh,
agree with that. I think it's just the same as you think about the frequency that you're driving on the highway and you hit a deer.
mm-hmm.
Like you might not have ever hit a deer, but you know that that has occurred before. So those
Right.
encounters do happen.
Hmm. Now, I understand you studied aerospace engineering as well. How does that relate?
Industrial, yes.
Industrial. Okay, okay. So all that, 'cause you tell my ignorance of a windmill and what you do, but I'm impressed and I'm enthused about the your craft here because I think it's important. How do you see the windmills is going to be uh, impact upon our part of our energy sources and tell folks why do we have windmills and what the purpose of the windmills.
Yeah, I mean, the wind turbines are there to generate electricity. So if we think about the total amount of electricity that was generated in 2025,
Mm-hmm.
you've got a few sources. You've got like your traditional power plant, you've got nuclear, you've got hydroelectric, and you've got solar, and wind. So when we
Mm-hmm.
think about all of those sources, 10% of the energy that was produced in the US comes from wind turbines. And that's a significant amount of energy. When we also think about where our energy demand is going in the next 5 to 10 years, we know that our energy demand exceeds the number of energy or electricity producers. Specifically, let me restate that. Our electricity demand exceeds the number of producers that we have. And let me step up for a minute.
Okay.
My office light, automatic light went out. Uh, so we know that that there is a significant demand for electricity, and that is going to grow exponentially. That's driven by we've seen on the news like how more all companies are getting into AI, and that there are more data centers that are going to be built. Those data centers
Hmm.
require a significant amount of electricity.
Right.
And at the rate that those are being built, and at the rate that old power plants are going offline, we don't have enough electricity generators to be able to meet our demand. So there's always going to be a need for other options.
Okay. Well, that is exactly right. And when you hit this whole energy mix, you hear people talking, particularly now. I know windmills and wind turbines been around for a while. Folks, stuff like the solar farms and stuff like that. That's
Mhm.
relatively new. But then when you get a hold, I had the guy on from Florida Power and Lights one day
Mhm.
last week, and he explained to me about the energy mix that you
Yes.
have. I never thought about it in that perspective, but you got a whole lot of energy mixing with AI coming on board and all of these things. You're gonna need a lot more energy and a lot more power to help fuel those kinds of systems. Okay,
Yes.
let me move on just to another issue at GE. I know y'all. How many people employed in the Pensacola plant?
Including
Approximately.
contractors, we have 445 people.
How many?
445.
Really? I didn't
Hmm.
realize the plant was that large. Okay. Well, from time to time, there are probably going to be opportunities for employment and so forth. So, how do one know about the employment opportunities there at GE? And I'm pretty sure you guys very specialize in who you recruit because I doubt very seriously you're going to need a lot of basic skills, but specifically, if you interested in that career field, if you will, how would one know about jobs and how would one contact the GE to determine whether or not they want to be considered?
Yeah. So we one of two ways. So we have contractors, and we have contractors today
Hmm.
through Landrum HR, and that
Okay.
is one pathway to being hired as a full-time employee. So we bring in folks through Landrum, and then the second way is when we have a large round of openings. We just post the openings on our website. So on our career website, you can find the postings there. We also share like with our local partners. So that I think like a career source Escarosa. So you would see the openings available through there as well.
Okay, very good. That's good information to know. What would you advise a young college graduate or even better yet, a high school graduate, just kind of unclear where they want to go with their future? What would your advice be to them?
Um, so I think that I would think about, what do you enjoy and what are you
Hmm.
good at? Um, Once you identify those things, what can you do after high school to be able to strengthen that skill set so that that can lead you to an employment that can support you?
Hmm.
So, for example, you may be a really great hands-on mechanic and person who fixes things, but maybe you don't necessarily know that you want to commit to a 4-year school. And I think that
Hmm.
that's perfectly okay. Like for those folks, I would say, like in manufacturing, there's a lot of trade that's needed. We need
Absolutely.
people that can be welders. We need people that can be maintenance folks. We need electrical technicians. And sometimes that pathway to be able to strengthen that skill isn't a 4-year school, but maybe it could be a 2-year technical school or an apprentice. But I think that what's important for everybody that's in high school is that you recognize what is it that you're good at, and what do you enjoy? Answer those two questions. And then once you answer those two questions, what can you do after you graduate from high school to be able to make those skills stronger and better, so that you can build a successful career from that?
What do you tell the young man or young woman that might be looking at this and say, look, I want to do what she's doing. I want to be able to work on some wind turbines in the future. What do I need to start preparing myself? What courses should I take? What those kind of things that I need to do what she's doing?
Well, if you were high school or maybe an early freshman or early in your college career, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to tell you the basics are always important. You need to be able to understand the reason why behind things, and in order for you to do that, you need to be able to get your math courses out of the way, get your science courses. Now, I have not been in high school for a long time, so the names of these classes may have changed, but like your algebras, your geometries, your trigonometry, your
Mm-hmm.
calculus. Um, I actually would tell you to lean into it as early as possible in high school, so that you give yourself a little bit of space if if you choose to do engineering in college, like your physics courses and your chemistry and your biology. Like, just understanding the why of how these things occur are going to help you build those critical thinking skills that are going to be needed in your next phase of life.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this now. I know you have an important job out at GE uh, for Nova, but how did that what are they doing to relate to the community? How do y'all doing that mix there, getting in with the community, and then since you're relatively new in the community, how's that working?
Yeah, so we have a great partnership with the University of West Florida, where we have uh, anywhere from 8 to 11 interns throughout the year. And
Mm-hmm.
these interns our expectation is that we partner with them throughout their college career to give them exposure to the work environment and to help them build professional skills. Outside of that, like, we support organizations that want to be able to give folks exposure to STEM careers and a STEM environment. Most of that has been through the University of West Florida, but we're certainly open to other organizations as well.
Do you? I know you're going to recommend GE Vernova really highly, but how strong do you recommend it for a young college graduate to come to work for GE Vernova?
I highly recommend it. I think that we have a great team here. We have a great workforce. I think that this is a place where you're going to be able to build those soft professional skills,
Yeah.
and also continue to build your technical expertise.
Hmm. Okay. All right. And then, now I got one of my best friends been his career working for GE, and so he sings and praises of GE. In fact, I ran into him yesterday. I forgot to tell him I'm going to have this interview with you today because I know he wanted to know because he loved himself some GE. He worked there for probably over 30 years. You know when the plant was probably named something else. Yeah.
Was he here in Pensacola?
Yeah. He's in
Oh, okay.
Pensacola.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this site started off as a Westinghouse,
Yeah.
Siemens Westinghouse.
Yeah.
So it was the original intention was to build generators.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we really haven't strayed that far from it.
Yeah, yeah, that is so true. And so it's been a good partner for the Pensacola community. And not only that, it provided some well-paying jobs for people here in Pensacola and certain people that I know that, black folks that I know that work for GE over the years. I hear a lot of complaints about people's job, but I never heard anybody complain about GE. So,
Well,
uh,
I'm sure there might be some out there, but
yeah,
look, the Pensacola area, I just have to emphasize, is a big deal when it comes to the wind energy
yeah,
segment. So not only is there GE, but we have other employers around here that support wind,
yeah.
like Blue Wind, Jupiter Bach, Energy Hardware, just to name a few. So there are many families that are supported and employed because of wind energy in this area.
Yeah. Brandy, thank you. I know you're at work and then you're taking 30 minutes of your time, but I want Pensacola to meet you because I think that is important, not only in terms of role models, but you got a very important job out there at GE Vernova. Is there anything that you want to share that we hadn't talked about?
I would say that the role that I have, or the way that I achieved this role, there's nothing exceptional about what I did. I made a decision that I wanted to be an engineer. I stuck
Hmm.
with it, even when it could have been challenging, and I came in to my roles always with the expectation that I wanted to do the best that I could do. And I think that we all have those capabilities within ourselves. So we all can achieve great things.
Yeah, that is so true. Well, our time is up, but thank you so much for taking your time out because I know Pensacola want to know about you, y'all. Then you take a good look at this lady here. You've seen a lot more in the community. And Miss Brandy, she's a very important person out there at GE. I'll get to know her and everything. What church you go to? You go to church around here? Because I know everybody know for the church. Everybody know from the church.
So I can't say that I have an official church home, but I've visited both Zion Hope and Greater Union.
Okay, very good. So you get a chance to see a lot of good people here. Brandon, thank you. We appreciate you. Okay,
Okay.
folks. I'll tell you what. That's you gotta check this young lady out, and she's such a role model. Folks, I got to get out of here. I would thank you again for tuning in to Pensacola Wants to Know, and we always have a great, exciting show for you. So until then, we'll see you again on another edition of Pensacola Wants to Know.
Thanks, Vernon.
Thank you.